Hello and welcome to the Championship Roundup Review Show. Another great week of Championship action has taken place this weekend. A lot of big results for many clubs. I just want to touch on Ipswich and their sacking of Paul Hurst. As much as I like Paul Hurst and I love the fact that he has come through the football pyramid, starting in non-league football with Ilkeston and then Boston and then Grimsby and Shrewsbury before joining Ipswich in the Championship. It's a really good story, but unfortunately it was a point where they were just starting to get cut adrift and they needed to make a change or they would be so far behind that it would be, they would definitely be playing League One football. So they did sack him and decided to go with Paul Lambert, a very experienced name, somebody that you would expect to get them out of this trouble. So that is my quick thoughts on that one, but let's get straight into the action. First of all, we start with QPR and Aston Villa. I watched this game on Friday night and it was decent, and I feel Aston Villa were really hard done by here. So this one ended 1-0 to QPR, and really they were very lucky here. Paulo Wisholek opened the scoring in the 38th minute for QPR, with Jeff Cameron getting the assist there. During the first half, it was a fairly even game. It was QPR with the most chances, the most shots on target, but Aston Villa under Dean Smith, as you would expect, having by far the most possession. In the second half, it continued with the possession. Aston Villa having 66% of the possession in the second half, 11 shots to QPR's 4. They chucked everything at it. They brought on Balassi, who I feel made a real difference out wide. They could have brought on the likes of Hogan or maybe like Lansbury to try and change it, but they didn't. They stuck with Abraham and Kodja, and I feel that they really deserve something out of this game. But fair play to the back line, Lichtsteiner, two players that did very well, and they kept a real good defensive structure, and that was really what helped them get the 3 points here. Aston Villa, I've watched them both occasions this week, and they deserve far more than what they got. 2-1 defeat at Norwich, followed by a 1-0 defeat at QPR. I feel that they are performing better. They're looking better. They're putting in better performances. It's all about now making those performances into results. I still feel that Aston Villa will be up there come the end of the season. And, it's no surprise that Brentford are now struggling after Dean Smith's departure. We'll get onto that later. But what a turnaround by QPR. 4 wins in their last 5 games. After those 4 defeats, they've only lost 2 since. 7 wins, 2 draws in that time. 23 points. They are 2 points off 6th place in Derby. What a turnaround by Steve McLaren's men. Really good performance. And you can't get away from how amazing this turnaround has been. There were people calling for him to be sacked after just 4 games, but since then they have been absolutely phenomenal. And fair play, getting them totally away from the relegation zone. Being bottom after 4 games, they are now 11 points clear of Reading in 22nd. So really good turnaround there. And then we had more games on the Saturday. We had a 12:30 kickoff due to the whole situation at Wembley. Middlesbrough versus Derby, and Derby put in a really good shift during the first half and rewarded with a George Friend own goal. Made it 1-0 to Derby. They had chances as well. Wilson hit the post, and they totally dominated the first half. 67% possession, 12 shots on target, 5 shots on target to the none of Middlesbrough. And second half, it became a lot more even. But still, Middlesbrough in the whole game did not manage a shot on target. But they did get an equaliser. Jayden Bogle scoring a terrible own goal to make it 1-1. Really unfortunate. I've been really impressed with him so far this season. I think he's been absolutely outstanding for the Rams. Really impressed with him. And they were very unlucky not to get 3 points here. But still, it's been an amazing week for Frank Lampard's men. beating Sheffield United 2-1 at home, going to West Brom and hammering them 4-1, and then getting a really, really good point at the Riverside when they should have really had all three. That's 3 teams that are in the top 6, and they should have had 9 points. But that just goes to show Derby are starting to put really, really good performances together. My only concern is they have lost to silly teams the likes of Rotherham and Bolton when they should be getting all 3 points away from home, but they haven't. And that is one thing that is worrying me when it comes to their promotion push. Middlesbrough, things aren't going too well. Just 1 win in their last 4 games. Draws with Rotherham, Derby, a defeat to Forest, and then that 1 win against Sheffield Wednesday, who've gone right down the table in recent weeks. Next, we have the 3 o'clock kickoffs, and we start off with Birmingham. Birmingham have been in absolutely amazing form. I kept saying they need to start turning these draws into wins. Obviously, they've had 8 draws, which is a record in the league so far. Blackburn have had 7, and Forest have also had 8. But since then, they won their last 4 games in a row. Rotherham, Stoke, Reading and Sheffield Wednesday in this one. Stephen Fletcher took the lead for Birmingham, the former Wolves man, after 20 minutes. But Conor Mahoney with a lovely strike just before half-time made it 1-1. And then 2 goals in the last 10 minutes from Jukovic, and then Che Adams made it 3-1. A comfortable win in the end for Gary Monk's men, turning it round, and they are looking like they're going to be having a promotion push and look for the playoffs in the next few weeks, which is an absolutely brilliant turnaround after having so many draws. They'd have started turning these draws into wins earlier in the season. There's no doubt in my mind they'd probably be in the top 2, maybe even top of the league. But a great turnaround. Turning those draws into wins has been key for Birmingham. And they're not the only side that's done that. Nottingham Forest are also starting to turn draws into wins. Next, we go to Bolton and Hull. I went 0-0 for this one, and I was close. It was 1-0. Fraser Campbell scoring the only goal of the game after 7 minutes. It's really concerning times for Bolton. The game was fairly even, but they didn't score, and they have only scored 11 goals so far this season, which is the joint lowest, along with Ipswich and Rotherham. That is very concerning indeed, but I think it's 1 win in the last 11 games of Bolton. Just 1 point picked up from their last 5 games in the league. And it looks like it's going to be a very hard season indeed. Parkinson, after picking up, I think it was 10 points from the first 4 games, and then they've totally fallen apart in recent weeks after the whole situation with the talk of administration. They've really struggled since, and that just shows just how much that has had an impact on the field as well as off the field. I really do fear for Bolton. And they need to start picking up results soon. And they have Aston Villa away next. That's on Friday night. They could get something from that, but it's going to be tough going to Villa Park. Hull, a really good 3 points for them. That's lifted them into 23rd. 3 points away from Ipswich, and they're only 2 points away from getting out. And that's what they need to do. But it's poor for them as well. 4 points from their last 5 games. Very poor indeed. But when you look at it, Ipswich are the worst team when it comes to form in the league. They picked up 1 point from the last 5 games. Ipswich have picked up 3. Reading have picked up 3. Hull have picked up 4. But the others, they've not picked up anything. And 1 point is just not good enough. That kind of form will see them in the relegation zone soon if they do not turn things around anytime soon. Hull, I fear for them. I think that they're going to struggle still. They picked up wins, but they've only picked up wins against the likes of Ipswich and Rotherham, I believe, and now Bolton. Teams around them, and it'll be interesting to see how they go. But it doesn't seem like there's any sort of motivation for any improvement under the ownership at Hull. It's a really bad situation, and it'll be interesting to see how they get on. Next game they have West Brom, another tough game for Hull indeed. Next, we go to Bristol City and Stoke. I actually went 1-0, and I can't remember if I actually went 1-0 on in my predictions, but I certainly went 1-0 in the Super 6, and that was the final score. It was Fletcher with a great finish after 33 minutes, scoring the only goal of the game. They rode their luck at times, Stoke, particularly in the second half, but they held on for a very, very good 3 points. That puts them into 13th place with 3 wins, 1 draw and 1 defeat in their last 5 games, starting to pick up wins and starting to climb up the table around into the playoffs, which is their aim. I tipped them for promotion at the start of the season, and they have a very, very good squad, and I feel that if they're not in around there, they will spend more in the summer in the January, to try and get a promotion at first time of asking. Bristol City, they seem to win games in lumps, like 2 wins, two defeats, or a draw, and that is why I felt like they would lose. They seem to win 2 and then lose 2, or win 2 and then not winning 2. It's just very, very, very patchy. They do have Reading away next, who have just picked up 3 points from their last 15. I really, really feel that they need to try and win that if they want to have a playoff push as well. It's so tight at the top. There is 9 points between 14th with Wigan and top of the league Sheffield United. A couple of wins and you could be in and amongst it, and a couple of defeats, as Sheffield Wednesday have shown, and you could be totally out of it. And Brentford, 2 sides that were in the playoffs a couple of weeks ago, lost 3 in a row and now find themselves in 15th and 16th place. Next we have Millwall. Comfortably beaten bottom of the league Ipswich, 2 goals from Lee Gregory, and then a mix up at the back saw Ryan Leonard chip over and make it 3-0. Comfortable win in the end for the Lions. There's been talk that they've not been very happy about performances, but Millwall should stick with Neil Harris, somebody that loves the club and would only want what's best for the club. They had an amazing season last season, and it would have been very hard to replicate that, but I do feel that he will comfortably keep them up. No shots on target for Ipswich. They hit the post, but it was the outside of the post. Trevor Chalobah hitting the post, and it was a very, very poor performance. But they do have Paul Lambert coming in. There's a international break in a couple of weeks, so he will have some time to work with the players then, but he needs to start picking up results straight away. Millwall, they've started picking up very, very well in the last few weeks. 3 out of the last 4 have ended in victory, which is very, very important as they continue to climb the table. It was only a couple of weeks ago that they were in and amongst the relegation zone, but now they do have a little bit of breathing room. Their next game is Brentford away, which they've been struggling as well, so they should go there full of confidence to try and get 3 points, which would see them move above Brentford, which would be absolutely fantastic. But I do feel like Millwall are on the up with 2 wins from their last 2, 3 wins from their last 4, 1 defeat in their last 5 games. They are starting to move upwards, which is absolutely fantastic for Neil Harris and his team. Next, we go to Norwich, who have been in very, very good form of late. 1 defeat in their last 5 games, 3 wins and 1 draw. 3 wins on the bounce now for Norwich. It was Boudai who got the only goal of the game after 34 minutes. Jordan Rose missed a penalty at half time, but that didn't matter in the end, and they won 1-0. It's interesting to see just how much they are struggling under Thomas Frank, Brentford. It will take some time to get used to it, but I thought they'd be fine. They haven't gone with a new manager or a totally different direction. They've gone very, very simple, continuing the philosophy, and I'm really, really surprised that they are struggling. But 3 wins on the bounce for Norwich, and some good wins as well. Brentford, Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest. 3 really, really good wins there. It's seen them into 4th. They're 2 points off the top. Daniel Farke, who I really, really didn't rate at the start of the season, has done absolutely fantastic. He's made some really, really good signings, the likes of Pookie. Jordan Rhodes have been very, very good so far this season. Brentford, 3 defeats, no wins in the last 5 games. As I say, they have Millwall next. That'll be very, very tough, and they could start to get dragged into the relegation scrap soon if they don't start picking up wins. But like I say, it's so tight. A couple of wins and they could be just outside the playoffs, and a couple of defeats and they could be really, really in danger of slipping into the relegation zone. But I do feel like it might take a couple of weeks, but I do feel like they'll be okay. They got some really good players. Mapai had a terrible miss on Saturday. They have Ollie Watkins, Sawyers, Mepham. They have some really, really good players, and I think that they will be fine. But I'm really, really surprised to see them struggling after Dean Smith left. Next we go to Preston and Rotherham. Preston have really picked up in recent weeks, and they probably should have won this one. After 40 minutes, Tom Barkhausen, who used to play for my club Hereford, scored after 40 minutes to make it 1-0. 55 minutes, Michael Smith made it 1-1, and that is how it remained. Each club made 3 changes to try and win the game. It was a fairly even game overall. Preston just edged everything, but it was fairly even indeed. But Preston, after being bottom of the league, they've really started to pick up and have done it very well. Unbeaten in their last 5 games, 2 wins and 3 draws, has lifted them out into 20th spot, and they'll be looking to continue that unbeaten run next week when they travel to Ipswich away. That could see them just move comfortably away from the relegation zone for now. Rotherham, 4 draws in their last 5 games, which isn't too bad, but unfortunately haven't won in those 5 games. But they've picked up some decent points, the likes of Middlesbrough, as well as Preston, who are in very good form. They have Swansea at home next, and they need a win there as well. Swansea have improved in recent weeks with 2 wins on the bounce, but a very good point for Rotherham. And I think Preston will be kicking themselves that they could not turn that into a victory and just move away from the relegation zone there. Next we go to top of the table, Sheffield United, 4-2 this finished. Dunkley scoring an own goal. Kai Naismith scored after 39 minutes to make it 1-1. Just before half time, that man Billy Sharp made it 2-1. Then he made it 3-1 after 53 minutes, getting his hat-trick just after the hour mark, made it 4-1. Joe Garner got one back, but that's how it remained. A 4-2 win for Sheffield United. A really good win that. The game, to be fair, was fairly even. They probably didn't deserve to win and score 4 goals. Certainly win by that margin, but that's exactly what they did. They took their chances, which is very good. If you take your chances, you always have that chance of winning, and that's exactly what they did. 3 wins, 1 draw and 1 defeat from their last 5 games. Top of the league, 2 points clear of their nearest rival in Leeds, Middlesbrough and Norwich, all on 27 points. One thing I will say about Wigan is they're very good at home. They have picked up 17 points at home, which is, I believe, the second highest. Only Sheffield United have picked up more points away from home, and Wigan, from home rather. And Wigan have not lost at home so far this season. Their home form has been amazing. Picked up 17 points, but just 1 win all season away from home, which was at Stoke, and they haven't drawn any games. They've just literally picked up 3 points on the road, which is the worst in the league. A very concerning indeed. Their away form. If they turn that away form around, they could easily mount a playoff push, but I can't see that happening. Paul Cook, brilliant at home, struggling away from home. Sheffield United finish at top of the league. Their next game is Forest away. That'll be tough, but if a win there would be a big statement of intent to show the league that Sheffield United mean business this season and want to get promoted. Wigan, their next game is at home to Leeds. That'll be a very tough game, but like I say, their home form is fantastic, and Leeds could struggle there. Just 2 wins from their last 5 games after starting like a house on fire. Leeds, the train has just slowed down a little bit. Next we go to Swansea, who picked up a simple 2-0 win over Reading. 2 goals from Oliver McBurney. James was very key. He won the penalty and then he set up McBurney for the second, and Paul Clement's men lost on his return to the Liberty Stadium. I'm not really sure what to make of Swansea. They have some really good results, and then they have some terrible results. They bossed the game here. 64% possession, 25 shots on target, 25 goal attempts. Really bossed the game and deserved the win. That puts them 2 wins after 2 defeats. They're just outside the playoffs on 23 points, 2 away from Derby. Just getting some really good form together would see them glide up the league into the playoffs for sure. The next game is Rotherham away. They need to get something like that, and that could see them go into the playoffs if results went their way. But they need to start maybe scoring more goals. Only 17 scored, which isn't a very good return. Preston have scored more goals than that. Reading have scored more goals than that, and they're very, very much struggling at the bottom. But very, very good overall. McBurney scoring twice. That's his 6th goal of the season, and hopefully that can see them maybe progress even further. But a comfortable 2-0 win at the Liberty Stadium in the end. The final game at 3 o'clock was West Brom versus Blackburn. 40 minutes in, 5 minutes before half time, Craig Dawson from a corner made it 1-0 to Blackburn. But Harrison Reed in the 71st minute scored an absolute beauty. Really, really good finish. And Tony Mowbray's men were level, who used to manage West Brom many, many years ago in around 2010. Raya, the goalkeeper, got injured, and Smallwood, the midfielder, went in goal and managed to keep a clean sheet. So overall, for Blackburn, a very, very good point considering they were down to 10 men and they had a midfielder in goal. 2 wins, 1 draw and 2 defeats from their last 5 games. 12th place, I feel like that's around where they're going to finish, around mid-table. I don't think they're going to be producing anything that could see them into the playoffs. I don't think they'll get sucked into the relegation zone. I think Mowbray is a safe appointment, and I feel he will be around mid-table. West Brom, 1 win in their last 5 games, 2 draws, 2 defeats. They've scored 33 goals, which is the highest, but 23 goals conceded, which is more than Hull, who are 1 from bottom, more than Rotherham, who are just outside the relegation zone. They're conceding goals, they're scoring lots of goals. They need to, just tighten up at the back. They can't go on like this, or they'll end up going out of the playoffs. But really, really good start for Darren Moore's men. He needs time to implement his thoughts. It's weird seeing a team score so many goals and concede so many goals for a manager that used to be a centre-back. You'd expect him to be very, very watertight and not score too many goals, but it's a total opposite. Maybe that effect is Graham Jones, but even Graham Jones was a defender who is the assistant manager at West Brom. Finally, the last game was Leeds versus Nottingham Forest. Controversy here. Let's get straight into it. It was Jack Robinson who opened the scoring after 11 minutes from a corner. Joe Lolly crossing in for Robinson with a free header to make it 1-0. Leeds, they fought. They kept trying to get the equaliser. 71% possession, 18 shots to the 3 of Nottingham Forest. Just 1 shot on target for Nottingham Forest. They were absolutely dominated by Leeds. And finally, in the 82nd minute, they got the equaliser. Kamaru for the handball just on the line. That wasn't picked up somehow by the linesman. That should have definitely been given as handball. I can't believe they didn't see that. It's so obvious. I don't know what he's seen. He must not have been up at play, but from the camera angles, he's right there. I have no idea what he's seen, but that shouldn't have been allowed. That should have been a Forest win. Leeds, they're just starting to slip a bit. Still in amongst the promotion favourites, as you would expect, but just 2 wins, 2 draws, 1 defeat. That's decent form, but I do feel like they're not as good as they were, and they need to start picking up more wins. However, having said that, they are starting to get the likes of Forshaw and Roof back in the side, who have both been injured in recent weeks. So that's a good sign that they are going to start improving as well. Forest, I think this is a decent point overall, but they are very, very hard done by that. They didn't get all 3. 2 wins, 2 draws and 1 defeat, the same as far as Leeds, just outside the playoffs. They could have a push come the end of the season. I feel that they would have. I felt like at the start of the season that they would be somewhere near. They are 6 points behind top of the league, Sheffield United, who they host on, I think it's Saturday next weekend anyway. Really, really, really tough fixture. That if they win that, like I say, they could go into the playoffs. That would be a really, really big statement that they mean business. But if Sheffield United win, that would also be a big statement as well by them. And that is the roundup done. So let's have a quick look at the table. Ipswich find themselves bottom on 9 points. Hull and Reading are on 12 points. They complete the relegation zone. Just outside we have Rotherham and Preston on 14 points. And on 16 points we have Bolton, followed by Millwall. At the top, Sheffield United are on 29 points, 2 points clear of second place. Leeds find themselves in second. The playoff places are Middlesbrough, Norwich, West Brom and Derby. And just outside we have Forest, Swansea, Birmingham and QPR. So very, very tight as you would expect. A great week, and then we have some brilliant fixtures coming up next week as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you really enjoyed it. I really do. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you smash the like button, subscribe if you are new. My name is Mike, and I will see you soon.